Typically, a Kaizen event is a short duration, a short period of time where you do rapid improvements. It's analogous to if you were going to eat the elephant, maybe take the whole leg in 4 days, and then you're left with action items at the end of the event. So it's very episode, or we say episodic type of improvement events. Kata is a routine for practicing and becoming a part of your daily continuous improvement culture. It's taking small steps, so maybe just a small bite of the elephant. The 5 questions keep you focused and targeted on how do you want this process to operate in the next week or 2 weeks out, and what obstacles are keeping you from operating in that target condition. We step back and look at the current situation and then develop experiments or PDCA cycles to try and go around those obstacles to get one step closer to that target condition. Every day a step closer, and all of this is in line with the vision and the challenge for the company. Today we have Scott Simmons and his wife Julie, as you remember, was on a few weeks ago. Scott is practicing under the company Scott Wade Simmons and Associates, and they provide executive coaching, training, and consulting services to various business leaders. Scott himself has 32 years of leadership management experience in a very diverse range of industries and technical roles, include performance optics, machine tooling, shipbuilding, even some nuclear engineering. Scott, did I leave anything else off there? Or?
Well, you did. I'm been around too long. I got a long tooth here, but those don't need to be mentioned at the time. But thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today, Brandon.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I know our guests, especially the ones that tune in and have seen Julie's video, will be pleased to hear this one as well. Um, so let's just get right into it. The first question that I had that I wanted to our audience to get a little bit more detail is about maybe what your company does that's maybe different than others, and where's your passion. Help us understand a little bit more than just the brief intro of who your typical clients and what type of services that you would provide them.
All right. Well, thanks, Brandon. So Julie and I have been running the business for a couple of years now, and it's the two of us. And I always make light of the fact that it's Scott Wade Simmons and Associates, and she's my associate. But she does all the heavy lifting. I like to say she does a great job. You know, we've been blessed with some great careers. Some of the stuff that you noted there, and for her, you know, running the as an executive director of Northwest HPEC. And through those years, we've gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. We've been exposed to a lot of teaching and practical activities. So now in kind of a more of a retirement mode, we want to stay relevant, and our relevancy is in coaching and teaching and the things that we are passionate about. We primarily stay focused in the Pacific Northwest, although we travel around at times to speak and to share, and whether it's across the country, and sometimes we spend some time in Costa Rica helping and sharing. Our focus now is really about developing people, developing their skills, their thinking. So much of what we've seen over the years is that there's this opportunity for people, their desires to be more involved, to learn more, to have more influence. So we're reaching out in that area. I enjoy working with executives on developing business strategy and the deployment of that strategy, designing operating systems. And when I say strategy, it's focused on the internal strategies of a business. So much is out there on market strategies and finance strategies and stuff, but where most businesses need help is looking internally and thinking differently about how they can operate and how they can work. Julie's specialty is around coaching and teaching and the improvement, kata and coaching, kata community environment. And she's a master coach. She got into this, as you heard last week at your last podcast. She got into it early, and she just loves this stuff. This is really where she's at. Together, we make a complementary team.
Yeah, it seems like you got the whole package between from cradle to grave, I guess, of business planning all the way through improvement processes.
Yeah.
Um, so, with all those topics in mind, probably our audience would want to hear
from a standpoint of strategic deployment and executive coaching, at what point does leans, continuous improvement, Six Sigma, many of the lean tools, where does that come in as far as your business mission when you're working with clients?
So we see ourselves with kind of four differentiators, if you will. The first one is that we see all improvement work as business improvement. It's led, it's promoted, it's achieved by the executive team. If there was an opportunity to go back in a time machine in history and stand over somebody's shoulder, I would have very much liked to have been standing over the shoulder of Jim Womack and Jones when they were writing the book, The Machine That Changed the World.
Mm-hmm.
And looking over their shoulder as they were writing down and they were pinning, we found this organization that had this lean production system, which turned out to be Toyota. But if I could have changed anything, I would have changed it to say, we found this organization that had this lean business system. And instead of the executives, which I've been involved with and experienced, tapping an operations guy on the shoulder and saying, or gal on the shoulder and saying, hey, go figure this stuff out while I'm over here running the business. Instead of that, we may have seen many of those executives pull themselves into that arena and say, what is this lean business system? I need to learn it. Because we believe that those executives that have stepped into that role of leading, of promoting, of teaching and achieving those tools, that they are the ones that are the most successful. So that's the first piece of where we're at. It starts with this involvement of the leadership team. The next piece, if you looked at the need for the people, is that those leaders will create this environment where their people can thrive. Taiichi Ohno, famously recognized as the father of the Toyota production, said that people don't go to Toyota to sweat, they go there to think. And that is, Toyota was a system that recognized there's no limit to human creativity. And I believe that's what's been missing in the minds of the executives, is they think it's up to their expertise, their knowledge, their direction. What they leave on the sideline is all these really, really creative workers, people that they've invested and hired in to get them in place. So leadership is involved. They create this environment where their people thrive, and then our work is around developing those people's skill set, making sure that there's a way. So this is improvement kata coaching kata works so well in that aspect, because every day these learners get to spend one-on-one time with a coach, hopefully a leader in their organization, and they get to share their thinking, grow, learn. They're receiving information. So that's this opportunity for them to be developed as a worker, but also to bring value back in their creativity to that organization.
So kind of harvesting that human capital and making investments in it, right?
Absolutely. And so much of that is sitting idle and not happening the way it could. I think the fourth thing, and I'll get specific to some of the lean tools, if you will, or the lean approach, is that we teach executives how to maximize that creative benefit. And it's a term that we've coined, creative benefit. It's the summation, or the gathering of all that creativity in an organization, and it's focusing on the needs of the organization. The benefit that executives and organizations recognize, achieve from their folks' creativity, that's creative benefit. And it's up to the leaders to create that environment where their people are thriving, and those leaders are challenging their folks, because they say that necessity is the mother of invention. Right. The role of that leader is to create a necessary moment of learning, a necessary moment of creativity. Excellent. that brings out it's a joyous thing that we have. We've been created in the image of the master creator, and it's a need that we have. So as the leaders recognize that, they're able to move further, their organizations further down that line. So that's kind of the focus where we're at. It's around working with leaders, working with people, focusing on that creative benefit that exists where so many leaders have left it on the sideline idled, and helping both organizations and the folks grow up and gain together.
Okay, excellent. So once you've established that with the executive leaders and you get them to understand those points that you're talking about investing in human capital, developing them, and tapping into creativity, would that be the point where the improvement kata, coaching kata would come in more across the business or the facility or the operation, or how do you see that improvement kata, coaching kata fitting in with what your company does?
Great question. So the executive team, I'll give it to you in kind of bites. The executive team creates this vision, and it's an annual vision. What are we focused this year? What are we trying to achieve this year? It could be the 5-year vision. When in 2000, while I worked at the Boeing company, Boeing came out with their 2016 vision, and it came out in 1996. It was a 20-year vision. Wow. Where we want to go, what we want to do. So they were modeling for a lot of companies. You have to look further out the road. Toyota's been doing this forever, and so the first thing that we try to do is get these executives in a room to sit down and say, what's your long-term vision, but then what do you want to accomplish this year? Then and we actually encourage them to do it graphically. So we have something called a visual design graphic, which shows the internal operating procedure, and it's going to be driven by income targets, market targets, quality targets, safety, those kind of big areas. Their internal operating pattern, if you will, is what we encourage them to draw visually. How do you see this working? Then we ask them to play catch ball with their leadership team. So okay. So now we're starting to challenge. We're recognizing the leadership team has experience and knowledge and creativity, and they want to be involved. So executives create this vision, internal, external, combined, working with the leadership team. The leaders get to play and get involved. They firm it up, and then the idea is how do we align the organization? How do we communicate this and then align the organization? And we call that enrollment. And there's a simple 4-step enrollment process. That enrollment is about sharing the vision, stating and sharing the benefits, stopping and listening for concerns, asking the question, what concerns do you have? And then moving into action, addressing the concerns and moving into action. So that's an enrollment process, and any major change, small change, big change, actually, any modification of what we're doing has opportunity for leaders to have these enrollment conversations where they actually ask for and listen for concerns after they've stated where they want to go and the benefits to the organization, what they want to do. So that's how you align, communicate, and align an organization. And now we're into the deployment piece of it. Now we have this vision. They're typically larger in scope. Maybe it's a new system, it's a new product, it's a big change in quality or safety. Now's where your improvement kata and coaching kata actually comes in, because now you have these challenges that are going to be aligned to this bigger vision. And it's not just in one department. Again, this is about business improvement, not about continuous improvement for the ops team. So it could be in the finance department, could be in the HR hiring department, it could be in the sales, the engineering. It's not always going to be in just one department like it's typically been, traditionally been. Lean's been focused on ops. So now you're able to start cascading down all of these activities through all the departments together, because you've created this environment through your leadership team activities that is encouraging this type of work. Now you have coaching, you have learners, you have challenges, you have daily meetings. Now you have that creative benefit that starts to well up, and through all these people moving towards this stuff, now you're driving the business results that are necessary and needed and wanted by the organization. And I see this as a large pattern. It's an annual kind of a activity. It could, PDCA cycles can be short and sweet in between each of the learners and their steps, but at the same time, it's a big annual PDCA cycle for an organization that the executives need to be leading and very much aware of.
That's a great picture of establishing the vision. It's much like in the improvement kata when we establish a vision through a value stream map, but you're looking at a business enterprise vision, and then as you play catch ball with that, you probably get down to the specific challenges.
Exactly.
And once those are created, then with catch ball, then you can go to really investing at the closer to the front line and the leaders that are responsible to make it happen and to achieve those.
And Brandon, that's where you start to see more of the tools, more of the activities. If it's a quality issue, you're looking at eliminating some of the variation in your product. You might be now looking at a design of experiment. If you're looking at, or Six Sigma, if you're looking at facilities and equipment, now you can, you say our big challenge is to have a total productive maintenance program in place by the end of the year, or focused in a certain area. I had the benefit of working with some of the Shingijutsu consultants when I was at the Boeing company, and they say every improvement begins and ends with 5S. Well, 5S has kind of a bad connotation, a lot of lean people's thinking now, because it's like, how do you measure success? And it seemed like, go 5S this while I'm over here doing the business. But the way they saw 5S was very different. And so now you might look at, how do I actually teach 5S differently, and evolve it. So this is where the tools come in, and many of the small steps taken through the improvement kata and coaching kata has to do with tools. And what I did at the last company I was at is, we ran kata until we saw a big need. Then we ran Kaizen event. And then at the end of that Kaizen event, we picked the kata back up and took it through the next step. So, you don't have to say it's one or the other. It's the idea of investing time and energy with the folks to move the needle on what matters for the business. Again, it's about business improvement. Right. And so you have those tools that come into play now. That's where the creativity and the innovation and the productivity gains are going to be met. But without a clear vision of what you're working on and trying to achieve, broken down into achievable challenges, or stretch goal challenges, then you're not going to get that that need.
And you probably develop a balanced scorecard or help them develop if they don't have it, or if they do have it, make sure that's in alignment with those challenges that you're talking about.
Absolutely. Now you're talking about some of the, you could use visual management tools in place. You can use a balanced scorecard. You really want to measure at the level of the organization, whether it's cellular level metrics that you're looking at, and or value stream and or enterprise. You can basically, again, part of the leadership's role is to look at how we measure success. How are we going to decide what we're trying to achieve, and then measure, how do we determine that we were successful in measuring that? So,
God, I think we could go on probably all day, or probably a lot longer than the audience is going to want to tap into this. Maybe we can get you on another time. But if people want to get a hold of you, as far as other than just searching your name, is there a specific way or easy way you'd like to give our audience here?
So both Julie and I are at Julie at c2v.com or Scott at c2v.com, and you can type in c2v, V as in Victor.com, into a search engine, and it'll take you out to our webpage. On the webpage, you'll see some of this more detail of what this is at. You'll see some examples of a visual design graphic, the strategy of a company, that vision, the design of their operating pattern. And so there's some stuff that you can see out there as well. Brandon, I appreciate the opportunity to share. I think that leaders in America have this opportunity to really touch people's lives, change them to the benefit in a fabulous way, at the same time bringing strength and achievement and excellence to their organizations, and make those organizations wildly profitable, wildly successful, world-class leaders in where they're at. And our goal really is to help leaders wake up every day and find ways to be a world-class organizational leader.
Right. Excellent. I've told Mike Rother that many times, going back 10 years or so ago, that when I recently told him about it, I said, Mike said, when I read your book and started really working on that online guide, and what ended up was the practice guide that he published, I said, yeah, that completely changed my career, changed my life, changed about everything about my family. As it's a complete change, just in that one instance. And I thanked him for it and everything. And
Yeah.
Mike's a very humble guy.
Yeah,
So
he is. Yeah, absolutely.
well, I appreciate you coming on today, Scott, and we've given the people the information if they need to get a hold of you. I want to just say how much we value you and Julie out in the continuous improvement community, and hopefully we'll have you on sometime, and or we'll be face to face and can talk more about do more shop talk and talk about some of the successes you're having.
Love to do that, Brandon. Thanks again.
Thanks.